Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of This Was Wild Wednesday. So I got crushed in the afternoon games. I was down 2.07 units just from the day games, and then I went on a rampage, almost got them all back, but I fell just short. So we are going to finish the day minus 0.3 units, so pretty much a break even. That's if the Mariners lose. They're down 6-3 in the ninth. I'm assuming they lose. If they win, it'll be a green night. But let's put it in the past. Move on to MLB Thursday. Pretty much the worst day betting-wise during the baseball season, but we'll try to find some value here. We got 10 games on the board, and the live show will be going through everything 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Hope to see you there as well. Let's go.
Welcome to the source. The source. Hey, get the source.
First up, Snakes on the road in Atlanta. We got D-backs at Braves. Zach Gallen pitching against Spencer Strider. Atlanta opens up as pretty heavy favorites here, minus 185 at home. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, after 5 innings, we got 3-2 Braves. Final score 6-3 Braves. All right, so like I said, Zach Gallen's on the mound, and he's had some success against Atlanta. He's made 3 career starts against the Braves. He's 2-0 with a 1.93 ERA and a 1.18 WHIP. That's a solid look for Gallen here. The bad news for Gallen is that this game is on the road in Atlanta, and Gallen's home away splits are starting to get a bit concerning here. He's got a 1.48 ERA at home. It jumps up to a 5.11 on the road. WOBA, WHIP, and expected FIP all significantly worse on the road. Now, we all know how dominant this Braves lineup has been. That being said, right now they are not producing at the same level they were a month ago. Since July 1st, the Braves are 10th in WRC+, 4th in isolated power, 12th in on-base percentage against right-handed pitching. Now, obviously, those are still some good-looking numbers, but if you remember, for pretty much all of June, the Braves were basically first in every single offensive category against right-handed pitching. But let's not pretend this lineup isn't still dangerous. Look at the last 4 righty starters to pitch against the Braves. 11.04 ERA, 2.45 home runs per 9, and a WHIP over 2. That was Lance Lynn, Zach Davies, Dylan Cease, Michael Kopech. Couple decent arms in there. Certainly none as prominent as Zach Gallen, but either way, I think we can count on the Braves to score at least 2 or 3 off Gallen in this one. On the other side, we've got Spencer Strider, and he's coming off an ugly one. The White Sox lineup pieced him up pretty bad. He did make it 6 innings, but 8 hits, 5 earned runs against the White Sox, who aren't even hitting righties that well this month. So definitely not a good look for Strider. I know some people are going to look at his home away splits and they're going to see that 2.94 on the road compared to a 4.30 ERA at home. But in my opinion, that's pretty irrelevant because all of the underlying numbers pretty much say the opposite. WOBA, strikeout to walk rate, expected FIP, those numbers all are better at home. So I'm kind of disregarding that ERA jump there. And he's pitching against the Diamondbacks, who have some terrible looking numbers against right-handed pitching recently. Since July 1st, they're 24th in WRC+, 23rd in isolated power. So they haven't been good. That being said, we just saw them crush Bryce Elder, and then they just got to Charlie Morton again last night as well. Back-to-back righties that they pieced up. I think the Arizona bats might be back. Bullpen-wise, no question, Atlanta has the advantage. But honestly, I'm saying the same thing here that I said yesterday on the live show. If the D-backs bats are back, then this price is an absolute steal. Remember, Arizona had one of the hottest lineups in baseball for a majority of the first half. They just got cold at the end there. If they're back, they should not be priced like this. So I don't see any reason why we shouldn't take another shot at the Snakes at plus money. So give me Arizona next game. Giants at Reds. Alex Cobb pitching against Andrew Abbott. Giants open up a slight favorite here on the road, minus 130. Total opens up at 10. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got a lead on Cincinnati here. 2-1 Reds after 5 innings. Final score 4-3 Reds. So Alex Cobb's on the mound, like I said. He pitched against the Reds twice last year, and he was actually solid in both games. He was 0-1, but he had a 1.74 ERA and a 1.16 WHIP in those games. That being said, the current Reds lineup actually has solid career numbers against Cobb. They're hitting 286 off him lifetime with an 833 OPS. So these bats have gotten to Alex Cobb before. And Alex Cobb has definitely been more vulnerable on the road this season. He's got a 1.24 ERA at home, jumps to a 4.15 on the road. All the underlying numbers worse on the road as well. The good news for Alex Cobb? This Reds lineup really shouldn't scare anybody right now. Remember when the Reds were just crushing the ball? Yeah, those days are gone. Since July 1st, the Reds are 21st in WRC+, 21st in on-base percentage. Definitely not the Reds lineup we were seeing last month. That being said, with Alex Cobb making a road start, I think we can count on Cincinnati to score at least a couple runs off him here. And what gives me even more confidence in the Reds is Abbott's on the mound, and with the exception of that one bad start against the Brewers, this kid's been dominant in his rookie year. He's got a 2.45 ERA, a 1.01 WHIP. Now, the 4.35 FIP and the 4.60 expected FIP do suggest that there is some regression coming at some point for this kid, but still can't take away anything from him. Solid numbers. And this is looking like a really nice spot for Abbott. I mean, he's pitching at home in Great American Ballpark, where he's been excellent. On the season, he's got a 2.10 ERA and an 0.74 WHIP, 3.90 expected FIP at home. So he's pitched really well here. And he gets a pitch against the Giants, a lineup that shouldn't scare anyone right now, kind of like the Reds. Here are the Giants' numbers against lefties since July 1st. 22nd in WRC+, 20th in isolated power, 22nd in on-base percentage. Giants aren't hitting lefties right now. The last 7 lefties to pitch against San Francisco have done just fine. 38 and 2/3 innings pitched, 2.32 ERA, 1.24 WHIP. I don't see any reason why Abbott doesn't deal in this spot here. Now, the Giants definitely do have the bullpen edge here, but overall, I think the value's on a Reds bet here. I'm going to play Cincinnati again. I want to see what the line does, but pretty sure I'm going to be on Cincinnati money line. Next game. Brewers at Phillies. Corbin Burns pitching against Taijuan Walker. Good pitching matchup here. Phillies open up as slight favorites at home, -130. Total opens up at 9.5. Take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we got to lean on the Phillies here at home. 2-1 Phillies after 5 innings. Final score 4-3 Phillies. So Corbin Burns seems to be all the way back after going through a real rough stretch in June. On his last 3 starts, he's got a 1.89 ERA, strikeout rate over 36%, an 0.74 WHIP, 3.16 expected FIP. Back to looking like a Cy Young Award winner again. You can see these numbers are a serious improvement from his numbers from the previous 3 starts. Couple important splits to look at for Corbin Burns here in this particular matchup. First of all, obviously he's on the road. He's got solid numbers on the road this year. 3.39 ERA, 3.70 expected FIP. But also, he's got solid numbers against left-handed bats, which is huge, obviously, because he's playing against the Phillies. We know that's a pretty lefty-heavy lineup. Some of their bigger bats are lefties. Against lefties, he's got a 110 WHIP and a 360 expected FIP on the season. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey. Phillies are starting to put up some numbers against right-handed pitching. Since July 1st, the Phillies are 8th in WRC+, 7th in isolated power. So the Phillies offense starting to become a problem. That being said, I still really like the spot for Corbin Burns, and I like what I've seen from him recently. So I think Burns is going to deal here. On the other side, we've got Taijuan Walker, and he's starting to put together a really nice-looking season for himself here. The Phillies are now 7-0 in his last 7 starts. During that span, he's a perfect 7-0 with a 1.84 ERA, and a WHIP at an even 1. 302 FIP. I mean, he really has been that good. Makes it even better for Walker that this game's at Citizens Bank Park, because Taijuan Walker's got great looking splits at home. He's got a 5.25 ERA this year on the road. Drops down to a 2.30 at home. WHIP and FIP also much better at home. And he gets the pitch against this Brewers lineup. Now, the Brewers have been hitting a little bit recently, but they've done a lot more damage against left-handed pitching than righties. Since July 1st, they're just 17th in WRC plus and 26th in isolated power against right-handed pitching. So I like the spot for Walker. Look at the last 4 righties to pitch against the Brewers. They didn't have many problems with this lineup. Those 4 combined for a 1.95 ERA and an 0.91 WHIP. So yeah, I think there's regression coming for Taijuan Walker. Yes, I do, but I just don't think this is the spot for it. Add on the fact that the Phillies bullpen got their pieces back and rested. The reason I faded the Phillies and took the Brewers yesterday was the Phillies bullpen was super taxed. They get their main guys back. Kimbrel's back. Soto's back. So I think the play here is to go Philadelphia at home at the short price. Give me the Phillies money line -120. I haven't fully decided, but I'm pretty sure I'm on the Phillies here. Next game. Padres at Blue Jays. Blake Snell pitching against Chris Bassett. Toronto opens up very slight favorites here, -115. This one's basically opened up as a pick'em. Total opens up at 9. Take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got no lean at all as far as picking a side. After 5 innings, 2-2 tie. After 9 innings, 4-4 tie. So in case you're wondering, yes, Blake Snell is still on an absolute rampage. In his last 10 games, he's got an 0.62 ERA, a strikeout rate over 40%, 40.1% strikeout rate, which is, I mean, that might be the highest I've ever seen over a 10-game stretch. He's got an 0.97 WHIP and a 2.39 expected FIP. It's been arguably the hottest pitcher in baseball for about 2 months now. And what makes this spot pretty nice for Snell, despite being a lefty himself, he's got really good looking numbers against right-handed bats. 273 WOBA, 116 WHIP, and a 329 expected FIP against righties on the season. The reason that's important, the Blue Jays are set to start 8 righty bats in this lineup, so this could be a really nice spot for Snell. The only thing I find a bit concerning here is this Toronto Blue Jays lineup actually has decent career numbers against Snell. Combined, they have 82 career at bats. They're collectively hitting 293 off them with an 829 OPS. Those are some solid numbers. But here's the thing, does it really matter? Because look at his last 4 trips to Toronto. He's 2-1 with an 0.90 ERA and an 0.60 WHIP with a 43% strikeout rate. So okay, they have some decent career numbers against Snell. Certainly hasn't shown in his last 4 trips there. Now, we do have to give some props to the Blue Jays bats because they've definitely done a much better job in the last 5 or 6 weeks or so against left-handed pitching. If you remember, early in the season, this lineup was really bad against lefties. In the last 30 days, they're 12th in WRC plus and 10th in on-base percentage against left-handed pitching. Really tough to make a call on that matchup. Obviously, you'd think Snell continues to dominate. Could be making his last start as a Padre, some would say. Who knows? But at the same time, Toronto is not an easy place to go pitch, so I think we can count on Toronto to grab 1 or 2 off them. On the other side, we got Chris Bassett, and he has really struggled against this team, really struggled against San Diego. His last 3 starts against the Padres, he's 0-2 with a 6.60 ERA and a 1.60 WHIP. So that's definitely concerning, but there is good news for Bassett. This game's in Toronto, where he's been much better. He's got a 5.81 ERA on the road, drops all the way down to a 2.47 at home. FIP, WHIP, and home runs per 9, all significantly better at home in Toronto. Chris Bassett has some of the most extreme home-away splits as far as differences go in the MLB this year. But that's pretty much where the good news ends for Chris Bassett, because look at San Diego's numbers against right-handed pitching since July 1st. They lead Major League Baseball first in WRC plus and isolated power, second in on-base percentage. The Padres have been piecing the shit out of righties recently. Check this out. The last 7 righties to pitch against the Padres combined for 36 innings pitched, 6.25 ERA, 2 home runs per 9, and a 1.47 WHIP. You want to know who those 7 righties are? Well, Manoah, but Zach Wheeler, Taijuan Walker, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Shohei Ohtani, and Jamie Barria. So not only are they putting up monster numbers against right-handed pitching, but they're doing it against studs. I mean, aces. So I'd have to say the Padres have the definite advantage in the first 5. So if you're looking to place a first 5 bet, I'd go San Diego. But when it comes to the bullpens, this is where Toronto has the definite edge, and it's serious. Since July 1st, the Padres bullpen is 27th in ERA, 28th in expected FIP. The Blue Jays are 4th and 3rd. So we're literally talking about one of the hottest bullpens in baseball right now against one of the coldest, which makes betting a side here almost impossible. I mean, it feels like such a coin flip. I said the same thing in the live show yesterday. I guess I'm slightly leaning Toronto. I anticipate that most of the public's going to come in on the Padres, maybe get the Blue Jays at like a plus 110 price. But this might end up being a pass for me. I'll let you know on the live show at 11 a.m. next game. White Sox at Mets. Michael Kopech pitching against Jose Quintana. Quintana making his Mets debut, first start of the season. Mets open up as minus 150 favorites at home. Total opens up at 9.5. Take a quick look at the spreadsheet. In the corner of the model, we got 5-3 Mets after 5 innings. Final score 6-5 Mets. I'm going to pass on this one. I mean, I can't trust Michael Kopech on the road at all. I can't trust Michael Kopech, period, right now, actually. But I don't think I'm comfortable laying minus 150 juice with Quintana making his first start of the season. He hasn't pitched since the playoffs last year, so this is probably just a pass for me. Next game. Tigers at Royals. Michael Lorenzen pitching against Zach Greinke. We have no line and no total open for this one as of right now. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got 4-1 Tigers after 5 innings. Final score 6-3 Tigers. I'm going to pass on this one as well. We have no line and no total. A lot of times that means we don't know who the starting pitcher is going to be. It says Lorenzen versus Greinke, like I said, but who knows? So I'll take a look at this one in the morning, and I'll let you know what I'm doing on the live show at 11 a.m. next game. I'm skipping down to the last game. We got Astros at A's here. We only have time to do one more, so I'm skipping to the last one. JP France pitching against Hogan Harris. Astros open up minus 180 favorites on the road. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got 5-2 Stros after 5 innings. Final score 8-3 Houston. So Hogan Harris is on the mound for Oakland, like I said, and he was showing signs of improvement for a couple starts there in early June, but that ended quickly. In his last 4 starts, he's got a 9.64 ERA, 2.20 WHIP, FIP and expected FIP, both well over 6. Things haven't been great for Hogan Harris recently. And look what happens when I switch it from his last 4 starts to his last 2 starts. It gets even worse. He's got a 12.46 ERA and a 2.42 whip in his last 2 starts. Man is going through it. You want to know who those 2 starts were against? Minnesota and Detroit. If you are a lefty starter, you cannot be getting pieced up consecutively by Minnesota and Detroit. And he better get his shit together fast, because the Astros have been absolutely crushing lefties since July 1st. Houston's 8th in OPS, 6th in WRC plus against lefties. I think Hogan Harris may be undervalued, and I think he'll snap out of this funk. There's no way I can trust him against the Houston Astros right now. On the other side, we've got JP France pitching, and he's making a road start, obviously, which is nice if you're a Houston fan, because look at this dude's home-away splits. He's got a 4.91 ERA, drops all the way down to a 2.18 on the road. FIP and expected FIP numbers also much better on the road. And look specifically at his last 4 road starts. ERA at an even 3, 3.92 FIP, 4.99 expected FIP. And you may look at these numbers and say, I don't understand. What's the big deal? These numbers look regular as hell. You want to know who these road starts were against? At Angels, at Dodgers, at Cardinals, at Cleveland. Those are his last 4 road starts. Those teams rank against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 8th. So we're talking 4 straight starts against top 10 opponents, and 4 straight road starts against top 10 opponents, and JP France has an ERA at an even 3 and a FIP below 4 in those starts. Extremely impressive. And good news, he gets to pitch against the Oakland A's now. The bad news is Oakland's offense hasn't been nearly as bad as you think. Since July 1st, the A's are 18th in OPS and 14th in WRC plus against righties. So maybe not as super easy of a spot for JP France as you would originally think. Look at the last 4 righty starters to pitch against Oakland. 6 runs off Bayo, 3 off Joe Ryan, 7 off Pablo Lopez, 3 off Kenta Maeda. I mean, when this A's lineup is hot, you can't sleep on them. I think the A's are going to score runs on JP France in this game. So I'll be betting the first 5 over 4.5 in this one. As far as betting aside, I don't think I can quite get there with Oakland. Their closer, Trevor May, pitched on back-to-back nights, so he's not going to be available. And that bullpen struggles to begin with. So I'm going to say first 5 over 4.5 and maybe a lean on Houston minus 1.5, but probably just stick to the first 5 over in this one. If anything changes with any of these bets, I'll let you know on Twitter, so give me a follow there if you're interested. Also, as I've mentioned, live show, 11 a.m. It'll be me, Toast, and the Commish. Commish is joining us, so if you're able to make it 11 a.m. Eastern time, would love to see you in the comments. If you want the final tickets we put out, which has the top bets, bet of the day, parlay of the day, the private VIP chat with live bets, stuff like that, head over to KyleKirms.com if you're interested in that. MLB Thursday, probably the worst day of the week, betting-wise this time of year. MLB Thursday's weak, but let's pick our spots, bring in some units. Let's keep the good month going. We're having an excellent July. Make sure you bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you on Twitter.